let's talk about the Apple Watch Ultra after about 9 months of use.
You can still go, even when you feel slow, you can still go, even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
Hi, welcome back. It's Adrian the Mountain Man. I am at Okanichi State Park. It's Okanichi Mountain. This is in Hillsborough, North Carolina. Unlike last week, where I drove about 2 hours to get all that climbing in, this is about 20 minutes from my house. So between this and Eno River, those are pretty much the only pretty hilly sections. There are other stuff that's kind of rolling, but those are the two places where you can actually get some kind of gain over the course of like 20 miles. This one is interesting. Some might say it's boring, but it's interesting because the peak of the mountain, it's kind of like a V. Basically, there's a fire road, a dirt road from the entrance to the park all the way up to the top of the mountain. And it's pretty much uphill the whole way. There's a couple of flat sections, but pretty much the whole way it's uphill. And that's about a mile. And then you come down, and about a quarter mile or less back down, you can take a left, and then there's a single track trail that goes all the way. I don't know if you can see those power lines, but it goes all the way down there, and there's a river right down there. And so that is the other option. So what I typically do is I'll run up the road once, and then I'll go down the single track and just keep doing that several times until I get what I want. There is also trails that go around the mountain, and if I kind of get bored with this, I'll do that just to get a few extra miles without coming up and down the mountain over and over and over again. It's pretty hot. It's already over 70, and it's just after 8 o'clock, so I think it's going to get to the upper 80s. So I'll be drenched as usual. The truck is parked about halfway up that mile road, so I'll see that every half hour, 45 minutes, something like that. I'm still trying to carry a lot because I need to get used to that again for the race, for the Grindstone 100. But if I do get sick of it, I can always just throw that stuff in the truck. All right, I will take you along for this. I might chat about the Apple Watch. It's been a while. You guys know that I don't do like reviews over and over and over again, but I've learned some things recently. I've had it for about 9 months, so I just wanted to share some of that information with you guys. All right, let's get going. I am just over 6 miles into my run, just under 11-minute pace. But let's talk about the Apple Watch Ultra after about 9 months of use. I have come up with pretty much 3 different settings, or 3 different groups of settings, if you will. The first one is pretty basic. I would use this for anything that's 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 at a push hours, but that's just turning it on and going. I've run several 50Ks and a couple of 40 milers with the Apple Watch, just full on everything. Bluetooth, cellular, Wi-Fi, everything. And I found it can last around 8 or 9 hours, depending on, it's going to go down the more you listen to music, it'll go down a little bit. But if you're not listening to music, you can get 8 or 9 hours, no problem. And I've done that several times, and that's my most common setting. Training for ultras, I do a lot of 6-7 hour training runs, and that's what I do. I just leave it the way it is. Let me get to the top of this hill, and I will tell you about the second group of settings and what I use that for. Alright, now that I made it to the top and I'm on my way back down, let's talk about the second group of settings. This one is the most complicated, but it's also the most specialized, so I doubt there are many people that would use this, but it might be out there, so here it is. If you've been following me for a while, if you watch some of my other Apple Watch Ultra videos, you'll know that I actually didn't buy the Apple Watch Ultra to replace my Garmin. I bought it to replace my iPhone while I'm running. Essentially, I get sick of carrying this big phone. We get all sweaty. Couldn't use it anyway. But I like to listen to music while I run, and just to be able to communicate to my wife, because a lot of times I'm running by myself out in the woods. And another piece of history about me, if you've been watching me for a long time, I once fell during a race and broke my ankle very severely, and now it's all metal, so that's why I'm called the Tin Man. So I like to have my phone with me for those two reasons. The third reason I have used my phone is for the Strava Beacon. So when I ran Umstead last year, 2022, I carried my phone. My parents could see where I was on the course, and if I was slowing down, when I was going to be coming in, when they could get stuff ready for me. So this second group of settings has to do with all of that. This year at Umstead 2023, I did not want to carry my phone. So I also knew that the Apple Watch Ultra was not going to last, full. Well, I ran it in 21 hours and 36 minutes. So I knew it wasn't going to last that whole time. So I wanted to find out how I could do the settings for my Apple Watch to make it last as long as it could, but only to do the things that I needed it to do. So the only things I needed the Apple Watch to do was do the Strava Beacon. So it needed cellular connection. I needed the Bluetooth on for my music, and I needed to text, which also requires the cell connection. But pretty much everything else I could turn off. The always on screen, heart rate tracking, like accelerometers, all sorts of things like that. Oh, I also put it in a grayscale, so when it did turn on, it was just black and white. That's pretty complicated, like I mentioned. I am going to put a link in the video to the video that I watched that went over a bunch of these settings. I'm not affiliated with this guy. I don't know him. He doesn't know me. But it just has a lot of tips for conserving power and shutting things down that you might not need. Now, I didn't use all of the settings that he goes over in his video, but I did use a lot of them, and it did work. I did have to charge the Apple Watch Ultra around mile 62 and a half, and I just had a power brick and my charging puck, and I just carried that one for one full lap, and then it was good for the rest of the race. So I'd say the weight of that power brick, the cord, and the watch is this pretty equivalent to just carrying the phone. So if you think about last year, I carried the whole phone the whole time and a power brick for a couple of laps, and this time I just carried the power brick for one lap, and that was it. So again, I'll link the video. Very, very useful. And I'm gonna figure out where I am. I took a wrong turn. I know I'm in the same general direction, but not where I expected. So I'm gonna figure that out, and then I will tell you about the third and I'd say most useful setting for longer races. All right, check in soon. And that is the turnaround for the technical side. I told you guys that there was two ways to get to the top of the hill. One was a dirt road and one was the technical side, and this is the bottom of the technical side right along that river. I'm gonna make my way back up. I haven't got as much vertical gain this run as I had planned. I've taken a couple of wrong turns, mostly because I was talking to the camera and not paying attention, but that's fine. Ran some beautiful trails and saw some new places, so that was fun. But as I make my way back up this hill, let's talk about the third group of settings. This is inspired by Dave from Chase the Summit. He has a YouTube channel. He used to do a lot more ultras on his channel. He still does that, but it is mostly now GPS watch reviews. So he knows a lot about a lot of watches. And he recently did, I can't remember if it was just a long training run or an ultra with the Apple Watch Ultra, and he changed a few settings. I'm gonna make up this hill. And so I thought that I would give that a shot. And I did. About a month ago, I ran the Highball to Thurman 50 miler in West Virginia. And so I tried his settings. I will tell you about those in just a second. Make up these stairs. Making me work today, guys. So these settings allowed me to run the Highball to Thurman 50 miler. That race took me 10 hours and 11 minutes. And at the end of the race, I think I checked it about an hour after the race because I forgot to check right at the finish line. And I still have 43% battery. These settings are really useful because 2 out of the 3 you can do right on the face of the watch. So you can switch them back and forth during the race if you want to. And so the first one is turn off the always on screen. That's something I don't think you can do on the face of the app. I think you have to go into the phone app, but essentially that just means unless you're lifting your wrist to look at the watch, the screen is off. So that's the one setting. That's not a big deal. Occasionally it gets a little annoying because you have to, raise your wrist a couple of times to get it to turn on, but for the most part, it's a pretty good setting. And the other two, just turn off the Wi-Fi and turn off the cellular. And that worked great. Like I said, I got through that whole race. I did not carry my phone. So if I wanted to, I think my wife was doing a long run or she had something else going on, so I knew she wasn't going to be texting me. But if I needed to turn it on every once in a while at an aid station or something to check in, you can just turn it on, send your text, and then turn it back off. So those are my 3 settings for the Apple Watch Ultra for ultramarathons. I hope you found that helpful. Like I said, I've been playing around with it for 9 months. I thought the first setting, just leaving everything on, that's pretty much my go-to most of the time. But the last one I just discovered, thanks to Dave's video, improves battery life quite a bit. So if you're nervous about that, that's the one to go with. All right, let me tell you about a YouTuber problem. I was telling you earlier about how I didn't get as much vertical gain as I wanted to because I took a couple of wrong turns. And when I was saying that, I had stopped my watch so I could film, and I forgot to start it. So I just climbed this big hill, a mountain, and I didn't get credit for it because I didn't start my watch. So I'm trying to get in the habit of not stopping my watch. But on the other hand, I do want accurate data as far as like how fast I'm actually moving for pacing purposes. But now it's a battle between having accurate pace data or missing half the run and not having my actual mileage. So neither one of those is ideal. So anyway, making my way back up the hill again, and my watch says about 2 hours. It's probably been more like 3. I think I started a little before 8, and it's like it's 10:43 right now. All right, here we go. And that was my run for today. Sorry, I've already changed my clothes. I was going to do the closeout earlier before I changed, but there was a family in a van a couple doors down, and it was taking them forever to get all their stuff ready to go on their hike. So I just decided to go ahead and change. The park's pretty busy right now, so I'm going to go ahead and go, but the watch said about 11 miles and about 2.5 hours. I probably had at least another mile, but I kept forgetting to restart my watch. So that was that. But this was a down week for me. It wasn't really a planned down week, but I've had a couple of stressful weeks at work, and then also my wife got COVID this week. She's doing okay. She's still recovering from it, but I was kind of taking care of her, but also waiting to get it, and I haven't gotten it yet. So I figured I'd take advantage of this, but also wanted to use the down week as a down week and didn't want to come out here and blast out like 6 or 7 hour run. And then just go into next week, start rebuilding. So I hope you guys found my Ultra Watch tips helpful, and I will check in with you guys next week. Thanks so much.